Y'all, it's another takeover. I don't know where this Coffee Breaks with Steve guy is at, but he's let me loose yet again on his show. And I think it's a bold choice, personally. So, well, we're gonna figure it out together. And I'm tech and host today, which has never been done to me before. So you're in for a treat. So now, let me get to the right place, and then I'm gonna say the thing. Hold on. Okay. So put on the brakes, grab a cup of coffee, and join the conversation, because it's time for Coffee Breaks with Steve. Okay, saying good morning to our friends who are here. Good morning, Jerry Thompson. Good morning, Rick Venturi. Good morning, Corianne Woodard. And good morning, Carla Glavin Venturi. I know some of you people. So everybody drink, Rick says. Yes, it is obligatory. And Rick was, in the past, when I have been indisposed and unable to do the comments, so if you haven't been here, this is not my show. This is my dad's show, Steve Glavin. And he is currently in Rhode Island and off to Plymouth, Massachusetts today with his wife, Carol. So I am hosting instead of him today. And usually I am a producer on this show. And what that means is a very important job. What I have interpreted that to mean is that I watch the show every week and I make lots of comments because I can. And every time my father takes a drink usually he has coffee. I can't do coffee for health reasons, but I usually have water or tea. And so every time he takes a drink, I make sure, my job as producer is making sure that I tell everybody else that they have to drink. Because if it's one thing I've learned is that anything can and should be a drinking game. I'm not going to tell you what you should have in your mug, but I'm just saying I'm not policing it either. Okay. All right. So, Dad Steve, famous Steve of Coffee Breaks with Steve, did tell me I need to load in some slides so that we could do birthdays. Can't find the slides, my friends. I looked where they're supposed to be. They're not there. So I have a feeling if it doesn't say he's watching. Hi, Uncle Scott Glavin. Doesn't say he's watching. He might be watching going, oh no. But I'm going to assume he's going to see this later. So we're all just going to say, you know who the birthdays are in your life? You know that there are anniversaries in your world. And you know that Steve would want you to appreciate them. We'll take a moment. Just take a moment, my friends, and play the happy birthday song. For all the people in your life that you know have a birthday and need to be birthdayed today. You know who they are, and I'm pleased that you've made it another round around this, or like another rotation around the sun. Well done, you and yours. It will eventually fade out, I assume. I'm not sure. We're learning together, friends. Oh, he's never gonna let me loose on his show again. I love this. Okay. All right. So I want to bring up something. I know usually for the sweet and savory, and my very favorite, the charcuterie. Dad shows the picture of the charcuterie and it says sweet and savory. I love the charcuterie. Again, that's a slide. Don't know where that went. Oh, it's the Mount St. Helens eruption birthday today. Thank you, Rick. So yeah, things of import, things of knowledge, things happening in the world is usually what the famous Steve would go into right now, of like things happening, staying very, very graciously away from politics. We don't go there on this show. That's for lots of other people to go into. We're not going to do it. But I don't watch the news. I know nothing. I could tell you what this means. This means I'm keeping this. I'm getting rid of like everything I own and moving into a camper. That happened in like the last 2 weeks. So that's important in my world, is that like everything must go. So I've had people coming into my house in the last week, invited, not just like showing up and like get out of the way and burst into my living room, but going through and shopping my house and going, can I have that? Yes. Can I have that? Yes, you can. So everything on my house right now has a tag on it, some of which have names. And I'm just like, take it. Take all the things. I'm going to go be very fancy trailer trash. I'm very excited about it. Dustin and I are both very excited to go live in a trailer very soon. We bought it, sort of, kind of. We still have to go get it. But yeah, so that's happening. That is all I know. I haven't been watching the news. I can't tell you what's going on in the world. I can tell you what's going on in this world. I can also tell you that father and mother are in Rhode Island and Massachusetts. And the reason that he's not on today is because they're walking around Plymouth. They're walking around Plymouth, Massachusetts. Can't be doing coffee breaks with Steve when you're on the move and in the groove. So, you know. Scott, Uncle Scott says, can you please speak on tectonic plates for a bit, please? Ash and magma. What I can tell you regarding Mount St. Helens and ash and tectonic plates is that one guy should have got out of the way and he didn't. He was given plenty of warning, did not do it, didn't believe in it. And I'm not going to get into the politics, but it sounds familiar. And also the part where the plates, and they're just like, it's like all the time, that's what's going on. You don't know it, you don't feel it, you don't know, but it's happening. And then eventually, like, they're just like in each other's face constant, and then eventually something gives, and that's where we have an earthquake slash, if it has a little spout there, then volcano and ash and magma, and that's science. So you're welcome. Hope you've learned something. As I wished. Thank you, Trailer Lady. Yes, if this does not become my new nickname, there's a problem. Okay. All right, friends. He's never going to let me loose on the show again. Okay. Anything else that I should bring up? I'm looking at all your guys' lovely comments. Oh, Corey Ann was saying that she saw Mount St. Helens when it happened, and that blows my mind. And now I live in Yakima, Washington now, and it didn't occur to me. We've got Rainier off in the background. It did not occur to me that people around here have their own stories. And a year or two ago, people were telling me, yeah, the entire town was covered in ash. And my parents got married 2 months after that. There was still ash around, like on their wedding day, which is like, it's just so odd. But anywho. All right. So I want to introduce our lovely guest today. So this is, again, somebody that I've stumbled into in my life, and I think they are a fantastic person. So Lori Owsley is a Kentucky native currently living in the Pacific Northwest. She is an accomplished baker, and that is an understatement. She is an accomplished baker and a sit-down comedian looking forward to retirement from her day job. Please help me in welcoming Lori to the stage. Welcome, Lori Owsley.
Hello.
So, how did I talk you into coming on this show?
Like erosion, drips.
We're talking tectonic plates. We're talking erosion.
Mm-hmm.
It's all science. guys.
It is fortuitous that I'm
Yeah.
your guest on the day you make your trailer lady announcement.
You know, I hadn't put two and two together on that, but
I
yes, that's very
original
fortuitous, isn't it?
trailer royalty.
Trailer royalty. My mother
My
always said, and I hope this isn't offensive to anyone,
oh,
but my mother always said that she was one generation removed from trailer trash. I am literally undoing everything my mother has worked for, and I couldn't be happier. I love you, Mom. And also, the dream now is to live in a van down by the river. We're all doing it. So it's just that's the new dream.
we were
Um,
ahead of our time.
you, you were, yes, those of you who are trailer trash royalty were just ahead of the times.
Mm-hmm. I grew up in a 12-foot wide, 70-foot long trailer.
That actually sounds rather roomy.
Well, and it was balanced precariously.
Yeah.
So I had to be careful running through the trailer. But then,
because you might topple it just by,
well, not topple it, but it wiggled. And I learned to irritate my father with the wiggle.
the wiggle. Did you call it the wiggle at the time?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I can't repeat what he called it.
Yeah, that's fair. It's fair. We actually had a bridge,
nights.
and maybe somebody in the comments knows this. There was a bridge here in Portland area called it did that, and that was just the norm until the day that it actually fully collapsed. It was called Galloping Gertie. Wasn't that around Galloping Gertie?
That was SeaTech, I think, around, I think it was Seattle
area.
But
Galloping Gertie. And they just said, that's normal. It's the wiggle. So, yeah, that's what that reminds me of. Well, to give everybody context, I invited Lori on today to talk about exactly these things because Lori's story to me is fascinating because somehow you ended up in Yakima. But you started so far away, and I'm and also I just think you're incredibly funny. No pressure, but I'm just curious what your story was of how you ended up here.
Well, we have to go far back in time and place because the place I come from is about 2,000 miles away in distance and about 25 years behind in time.
Mm-hmm.
So my town had 6,000 people when I left. And moving to Yakima was the big city. I was so scared because there were 68,000 people in this town.
Truth.
But we lived in the coal fields, and there came a time when coal was no longer king, and we had to look for jobs, my husband and I. So we asked this guy who had moved to Washington if he would be a reference for us. And he said, "Oh, you're willing to move?" And then he offered me money to come here. So here I am.
So here we are. Well, and I know that your husband goes back to Kentucky every year to visit his mom. What does it take to get from Yakima to Kentucky and back?
Okay, well, the easy part is getting to the airport from Yakima. And it's we usually go through Pasco. And I'll get him to the airport. And he usually has to go from Pasco to Salt Lake City. And then from Salt Lake to somewhere in New Jersey. And then from there,
he ends up in Jersey?
We have been to New Jersey because that's how I've seen the Smudge of Liberty.
The Smudge of Liberty.
Yes, I've always wanted to see the Statue of Liberty. That's the only thing that I really care about. I know you would like to go to Broadway and all that. That scares me.
I've seen it. I haven't been on it myself, but I've seen it.
But for New York, when I think of the big city, besides being scared, I think of the Statue of Liberty. And we were in Jersey once at an airport, Newark, I think. Anyway, and out the window, I went to the bar. I had a cocktail during the day, like Sheryl Crow. And we went to the bar, and I was telling them at the bartender, he says something about what do I want to drink? And I said, I want a Statue of Liberty. And he goes, that's not a drink. And I said, no, I want to see it, but I don't have time on my layover. He says, lady, turn around. And there was a smudge. It was a verdigris smudge out the window.
Way, way far away. She
Tiny.
was there, though. She was there.
And if it wasn't her, don't correct me, because
No.
I choose to believe that I have seen the smudge of liberty.
The Smudge of Liberty.
Yes.
I feel like that's a book waiting to happen. Or like an autobiography, The Smudge of Liberty.
Yes, that was, but she was very pretty, and I was very pleased to see her.
So you have to, okay, so sometimes it takes from Pasco, Washington, which is like an hour south of where we are, just for context, my friends. I know some of you are joining us from around the country. So we have to drive an hour south to Pasco. Then that takes you to Salt Lake City. That might take you to Jersey or some other weird.
Or Atlanta. Or Atlanta.
Atlanta, Georgia. Okay.
All
And
things
then
in the
from
South
there-
at some point go through Atlanta.
Right, of course.
And then from there, Bluegrass Airport in Lexington.
There's an airport called Bluegrass?
Bluegrass Airport in Lexington.
I didn't know that. I love it.
Yes. And from there, it's 3 hours in a car.
So all in all, from start to finish, from the time you leave your house to the time he arrives at his mother's abode.
Well, we can't make it there on the same day. So usually by the time we hit to Bluegrass Airport, we are exhausted, and we hit the local Red Roof and spend the night, and then get up and drive the 3 hours the next morning.
Got it.
So It takes about, from the time you leave it, if you spend the night like we do, it takes about 24 hours to get home. And that's pushing.
That's dedication. I'm not sure I would do it.
Well, when you're raised Appalachian, you don't have a choice. It's built in.
It's built in. You got to come home.
You have to come home. And you're not allowed to go anywhere else, because that's wasting money.
You went on vacation? You didn't come and see me?
No, we have not been on a vacation since we went on one when we lived out here. He wanted me to see California, and he took me to Northern California, and I was expecting North Carolina beaches. And I learned that Northern California and North Carolina have very little in common with their beaches.
What's a North Carolina beach?
Warm and sandy and beautiful, and you get in it, and you can swim or bob or whatever. And then he took me to this place that looked like it was out of a vampire place, and it was cold. And I just didn't think that was very beachy. And
I grew up with Oregon beaches. They smell like fish. They have dead wood all over them. They're very sandy, but also sand fleas. And they're about as great as it sounds. Too cold, but we'd go in the water anyway. And so when I met California beaches, I was very upset that they didn't have a smell to them. It's like, because what's a beach without the beach smell? So I understand. I think most people are like, this is what is the right thing, because this is the thing that I have from my childhood. This is the way it should be. I think you would have gotten more of that North Carolina experience had you gone to Southern California, though.
Well, see, he said we were going to California. In my mind, that's LA, the entire state.
The entire state. Yeah.
Until 15 years ago, Washington was a thing in a map, and if I remember correctly, it was colored purple in my textbook, and that's where
the entire state is purple.
Yeah, and that was before red and blue and all that. It was just a way of differentiating states. But it existed like Egypt or Mars as a place out in the ether that I certainly had no business going to. And so honestly, when we were moving out here, the day we got here, we got to what I now know is Tri-Cities, I think. One of the Tri-Cities. And I stopped. I quit. I was done. We had been in that car for 6 days. I had 2 cats and a dog. My husband was driving a U-Haul full of my children who do not behave. He scared me to pieces. And when the dog or the cat, one cat pooped in the cat carrier, and it stunk up the place. So the dog puked, and I went to stop at the gas stations, which are a different creature in Washington than they are where I'm from. And they did not have paper towels, so I got napkins and I'm cleaning up dog puke or poop and I quit. I got out of the car, I pulled it off to the side of the road, and I sat down on the shoulder and I said, "No, I'm not going. We're out of country. I believe we've crossed over into Russia, and I'm not going anymore." And
I live here at this rest stop.
I'm going home tomorrow because you've lied to me, and I'm taking the kids. And he said, "Okay, let me just take you to this. We'll go and spend the night, and then we will go home." And like 13 minutes later, we were at our rental house. So, I mean, it was no time. I almost made it without breaking down, but I didn't. So,
okay.
Yeah.
A breakdown right in the last 15 minutes is not bad
Yeah.
for a 6.5 day trip. I'm just saying. How are rest stops in Washington different than back home?
It's not the rest stops, it's the gas stations.
Go on.
They are nice out here. I am familiar with gas stations. We use fossil fuel in Kentucky. It is coal country. But they're a place you get fuel and condoms and breath mints, and that's what the purpose they serve. And you come out here and you guys have food, good food. And
Funyuns.
They cook. Like my friend Mary.
They do.
My friend Mary, and when we were working together, she goes, "Hey, whatever grocery store or gas station up the road, it's got orange chicken on Wednesdays. You want us to get you a bowl?" I'm like, "From the gas station?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's good. Good one." And she brings it back, and it's great. And I was just like, I was expecting, I don't know, a rolled up pizza. I don't know what I thought I was going to get.
Yeah.
They're very different, and they do not have. Like, I was expecting to go where you put the gas in the car and they have like paper towels that you can pull.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to try to clean up my animal mess with that. But it was like one ply tissue paper. So it just added to the stress of the moment.
The place was too nice and it did not have the tools needed.
It did not have what I was expecting.
Yeah.
I now know that if I had gone inside and just asked, it would have been fine, but I was busy having a nervous breakdown on the side of the road.
Sure. You got to pencil those in. Leave some time and some room for those.
We lost the cat 3 times on the way out here. We kept finding her. We kept losing the cat. She would slip out of her harness. And at one point, she had got under the bed in the Motel 6 and crawled up into the liner under the box springs, and we thought she's Houdini. She's gone. She's here, and now she's Magic Cat. She's gone, and we're ready to leave. And I'm like the last moment, and I hear, meow. So we tear the place apart, and that's where we find her. We ended up having to pay for that box spring too. Yeah.
Okay, so tell me. What are if I were to go to Kentucky, first of all, is Kentucky the South? I've never been to the South, but I've also never been to Kentucky.
The Mason-Dixon line, so it is southern. But I believe it was Toby Keith said that, not Toby Keith, the other one. Anyway. West Virginia, Kentucky, Virginia, those northern southern states, they have rednecks and hillbillies, but they don't count us as southern, although we consider ourselves southern. We had people who fought on both sides. We were border states in the. Okay, I don't even want to say that anyway. During the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky literally had brother fighting brother. So we had as many people fighting on one side as the other. Therefore, the people who did it don't really think that we're all Southern.
Got it. Okay.
So there's South, and then there's the Deep South. And they
South
don't,
and Deep South. So you guys are South, but you're not Deep
we're
South.
not Deep South. And Deep South, we're like the younger little brother going, "Ooh, Deep South, can I play with you?" And he's like, "No, get away, get away. We don't like you." Yeah.
Okay. If I were to go to Kentucky, what are the things I need to know regarding like cultural elements, or don't go there, don't do this, or make sure like what are, if you were going to be my travel guy, I was telling you I'm going to Kentucky, what are the things I need to know?
Well, you need to eat at my mother-in-law's house.
Your mother-in-law's house?
My mother-in-law is the best cook in 5 counties.
Okay.
That's why I can't recommend a restaurant. We don't have, I mean, there are restaurants and there are cities there, but that's not the Kentucky I'm from. I'm from a holler.
Holler?
A holler, which is a valley in between mountains. But out here, the valleys, y'all can pave them and stuff. Back home, I can stand in the road and touch both mountains in places. So it's just a holler place in between the mountains. So it's
a hollow/holler place.
Mm-hmm. It's a hollow place.
Holler. Live in the holler.
So it's a holler. And that's where I am from, 8 miles from the main road, up a holler in a 1-lane road that you have to understand if you're coming down the road, that's with the creek. You're going in the direction of the creek. You have the right of way because gravity is pulling you slightly quicker. But if you are in fact closer to the wide spot, even if you have passed it, you are obligated to back up into the wide spot so the other car can pass you.
Because it's that narrow, only one can go, and the rules regarding right of way have to go with the creek.
They go with the flow of the creek, unless you are closer to the wide spot. If and we all know where all the wide spots are. So if you meet at Joe Nancy's house and you're closer to Travis's house, then you have to back up into Travis's driveway because he won't shoot you for using his driveway. But don't go into Poster's driveway. See, people think it's funny.
Have lived there for time immemorial. So the directions have evolved around them.
Around it.
Yes.
And the name, I did not realize that our names are unusual. Like the place, most people have like Lover's Leap or whatever.
Right,
the place we slipped off to when we were teenagers is called Monkey Town.
What?
Monkey Town. I don't know why it's called Monkey Town. It's just called Monkey Town. It's a holler called Monkey Town. There's a holler called Wolf Pit. There's one called
actual names, or are these the names the community have?
No, these are on the map.
They're on the map. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I really can't get on that because here in Yakima we have the Weenass, which I will never be able to wrap my brain around, and people are very proud of it, and I don't understand it.
That is a Friends reference to me.
A Fringe reference?
Friends,
right? Yes, about where he works. And I thought when people first brought it up that they were joking.
So did I.
My husband had made a great joke, and I laughed, and he said, "What's funny?" And I don't understand it. So for context, there is a place near here. It's kind of like a holler, I guess. It's called the Weenass, and I can't say it without laughing, guys. I don't know what it's named after, but people, I know somebody who like their motto for that is like wild Weenass woman, and she's real proud of it. And I love her, and I don't understand it. So anyway, so I guess there are some parallels.
Yeah.
And where exactly in Kentucky? Because I don't want to make it like Yakima versus Kentucky.
No.
Where in Kentucky were you from?
Kentucky comes to a point in the east, in between West Virginia and Virginia.
Okay.
And if you cut that off, that's kind of Pike County. That's my county.
Pike County,
named after Zebulon Pike.
Of course it was. Zebulon. Of course. Zebulon.
The same guy from Pikes Peak.
Okay. All right.
He apparently made his way through on his way to the peak. Also, there's a town called Zebulon. Not Zebulon. Zebulon.
Emcott Zebulon.
No. I'm sorry. I forgot other people were listening to us until this very minute, Chelan, and I'm now on frozen. Oh my God, I can't move. We were just talking and now I know. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay.
So wait.
I lost my head thing.
I know, that's okay. You got bring your head thing back. Okay, so I'm putting up comments as people have them. And please, if you've got questions about Lori's trips and travel.
Or lack thereof.
Or lack thereof.
Yeah, my whole travel has been from Kentucky to Washington.
But that to me, okay, so Pikesville, Yakima, what are the things that
No S, Pikeville.
Pikeville, no S, Pikeville, not Pikesville.
Mm-hmm.
What are the things that are, what do you miss about Pikeville now that you've lived here for what, 14, 15 years?
16. We'll be 16 in August. Derek's already 16 because he left me there, but temporarily.
Yeah. What are the things you miss about Pikeville?
My mom. I miss my friends. I had good lifelong friends, and I did not realize how good of lifelong friends I had until we weren't in each other's lives anymore.
Yeah.
I've missed watching everybody grow up. I've missed all my cousins, and their kids now are having kids, and everybody's getting old, and but I guess that's wherever you are that happens.
Yeah. Is there what are the things that when you ran into them in Yakima, you went, oh, this is different, this is new? We've already covered gas stations.
Should have given this more thought beforehand, because we had total culture shock when we got here. Nobody could understand a word we said, and we did not realize, and I realize I still sound like I am from the pits of a coal mine to you guys. But
okay, I work with your husband. I have to tell him frequently, and I'm very used to him. We've worked together for almost 9 years now. I have to tell him sometimes to slow down and over enunciate. You are much clearer, if I may say so, in just how you present yourself than Derek is. And yet, yes, I can hear, I think it's a lovely accent. You're saying people couldn't understand you at all?
And it wasn't just my pronunciations. I realized that it's the words we use. So back where I'm from, if someone asks you to do them a favor, you go, yeah, I don't care to do that. That's fine. You don't think anything about it. And then I'm working with Dr. Betts out here, and he keeps asking me things, and I go, yeah, I don't care. And I find out months later, he's taken that to mean, no, I don't care to do that. And I am mortified, because I am a people pleaser above all other things. And I had just told this man I didn't care to do his work after he moved me all the way across the country.
He was your reference.
He was a reference.
Okay.
And he thought I don't know what he thought I was doing. Certainly getting above my raising.
Personality. And the fact that he hadn't brought it up to you and been like, well, you should care.
Yeah.
Tell me
it took us a while.
That he respected you to a level of going, I'll just let her do what she do.
Respect or fear. Yeah.
Respect, a fearful respect, like the way.
A fearful
respect of God, fear of God. So,
don't be ugly. Okay. Right.
Explain this to me, because I don't know this one.
When you talk bad about people, you're having, pretty is as pretty does.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not doing pretty things, then you're being ugly.
Okay. So if somebody's treating somebody else bad,
or talking badly about them, or talking badly about their back,
he's being ugly in how he don't he ugly. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What are Derek brought up if the something and the creek don't rise.
Oh, if the good Lord's willing and the creek don't rise.
If the good Lord's willing and the creek don't rise, it's kind of like saying knock on wood.
Inshallah. Yeah. Like
In what?
inshallah, they say in Arabic.
Oh,
Sorry. Um,
we
it's
are
kind of a
talking
way of
culture shifts, so I like
uh,
bringing in as many cultures as
well,
possible.
that I just learned. That's all I know about it. I just know that it's like saying if God allows,
Yeah, if yeah,
if the
Lord willing,
fates ordain it,
Lord willing, and the creek don't rise,
Lord willing, and the
we will
creek
do
don't
X, Y,
rise.
Z.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Are there
And
other ones?
something else I would like you to do if you went
Yeah.
to Kentucky, I would like you to go the third week of April, the weekend, because that Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in Pikeville, Kentucky is Hillbilly Days. And that is our local festival, non Perel.
Non. Okay.
Yes.
Go on. Explain this to me.
We shut down the town pretty much for 3 days and we bring in food trucks and carnivals
Okay.
and games of chance and moonshine, lots of moonshine. And we all dress up as hillbillies as though we don't cosplay every day as hillbillies. So there's these certain hats that you wear, and they're just felt like cone head hats, but you patch them up and you put your corn cut pipe in them, and you wear your overalls or your tattered up clothes. I mean, it's really offensive if you think about it. We're calling ourselves gutter type or whatever, but yeah, 3 days, and there's music everywhere, live music, bluegrass music, and they set out the dance floor in the park, and that is a free for all for anyone who wants to come and clog. That is my favorite part of
Clogging?
Hillbilly Days. Clogging. It's like Irish dancing in a way, but it's been Kentuckied up or southerned up. It's not like I don't even know how to describe it. Like it is not
Okay.
Michael Flatley, Lord of the Dance. It's Jimmy Bob Bubba, and his ankles are on swivels. But it's a legitimate thing, and very few people can do it. And I love to watch it.
Okay. Okay. We have a
And
question.
usually,
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
um, usually Jimmy Bob's drunk,
Clogging while drunk. Which
clogging while drunk. For
is that
3 days, it's not an offense. There are 3 days where you are allowed to clog while drunk because they put out
they put out the
in
dance
the
floor
park.
and the moonshine, and it's really on them.
Yeah, well, they don't provide the moonshine. You're not supposed to have the moonshine. It's bring your own moonshine, or
bring you're supposed to bring your own moonshine.
well, you're not supposed to. They don't want us to. They just can't stop us. They want us to be all cultural, and we'll be cultural, but you got to get lubed up first, because it's art, and people make fun of you for making art.
So you gotta have some liquid courage.
Some local social lubricant. Yes.
Yeah. And I just have to ask: is the moonshine like brewed in a tub level moonshine? Is that what we're talking
When I
about?
was a girl, I saw an actual working still that I was not supposed to see. It was in the hills. I saw it. I was out with my boyfriend at the time, and he was going to get moonshine. That stuff could have stripped paint. That was awful. The moonshine we liked came from Georgia because they put peaches in it. And my dad worked on the railroad, see, so we would have, and this lady's asking if we grow our own tobacco. We didn't grow it, but we could get it. And tobacco and more, shall I say?
Shall I say? Yeah.
Yeah. So we would send bundles of our local industry to Georgia on the train at my dad's work. I probably shouldn't have said. Oh, he's dead. Anyway. And then they would send up moonshine with Georgia peaches in it. So it was a bartering system, and nobody had to pay taxes. So, because the one thing we hate a revenuer. To this day, we hate a revenuer. It's just cultural.
Okay.
I mean, I don't care if E.T. Landed, Molly and Sculder are revenuers, and they need to get off.
Not allowed. Not allowed. Not welcome here in the holler.
Ma'am.
Not welcome in the holler. Okay.
Not in my part of the holler.
So somebody else brought up, I think it's Corianne again, talking about purse pop grocery cart as like maybe words that are also have their own thing in Kentucky. Do you have similar ones? That's like they've got their own way of.
Grocery cart is a buggy.
A buggy.
a buggy.
that always makes me think of a doom buggy from Haunted Mansion,
Mm,
Disneyland.
it's a buggy.
A
It's
buggy.
because, and I learned
The
that at
grab
Piggly
buggy.
Wiggly because we used to have a Piggly Wiggly in Pikeville,
Go on.
and that is a Southern grocery store chain.
I
And
thought the Piggly Wiggly was a restaurant.
no, it's a grocery store. Well, I mean, they had what I now consider gas station food. You know,
Okay.
so they had a deli of sorts, and they had a buggy rack. But before the buggy rack, you would take your pop bottles in a case to the pop bottle window and turn them in, and they would
Okay.
give you a little, like you're recycling them or whatever, but you took
Right.
the bottles back, and they gave you a little chit, and you used that for your new pop. So
Okay.
you go in with the empties, and then you
Mhm.
would leave with others that were full.
Okay. All
I
right.
don't know why we ever stopped doing that. They just wash them out and use them again. I don't know why we stopped that. But
Yeah. So that what they were like glass bottles or were they still plastic?
16-ounce glass bottles, and they came in a 6-pack, like a beer 6-pack. But Pop started that, and you could get, I forget, it was 2 or 3 in a case. They'd have these. You've seen these wooden Pepsi cases. That's what that was for. Was to put these pop
Okay. Okay.
cardboard pop cartons in a
I've
wooden
seen that for
case.
milk cartons. I had not seen that for pop
Yes.
bottles.
Well, that's probably in the South. But
Well, and also I don't know anymore, and I grew up in Portland suburbs. I don't know anymore if I grew up saying pop or soda pop because I've kind of gotten used to all of them now. And some are like, well, what did you grow? I don't remember anymore.
well, I call it soda, but I now know that that is a snooty affectation.
Oh, is it?
Because when I was in college, you have to kind of cross a hillbilly border to get to the University of Kentucky, and they think they're proper. And they are the worst group to look down on people who talk like I do. And we asked for change at this, again, at a gas station. And the girl wanted to know what my mother wanted change for. And my mom told her for the pop machine. And the girl said, "Don't you pop my machine, I'll call the police." And I was embarrassed. So I started calling it soda because I thought I'm in Fancyland now. And we call it soda. And
Did she
here,
respond to that and say, "Oh, the soda machine"? All right then.
oh no, she got in the car and we left.
No, but I mean the girl at the cashier counter. Was she like, "Oh, you just want for soda"?
No, I don't know that she ever understood us. She intimidated my mother and we got in the car and ran away. That's how
Okay,
we handle lots of things.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then I started calling it soda because I thought that was fancy.
Right. But then somebody apparently told you that is
I moved out here and everybody calls it pop again. And I thought, oh, well, I could just say whatever I want to then.
say whatever. It's 6 one half dozen or the other. Yeah.
Because if you get deeper in the South, I think they sometimes say Coke to mean soda.
Yeah. Can I get a
But
Coke?
it's not in that we just called it soda pop or pop.
Right.
And if you said soda pop, you were like old.
Soda pop. You weren't necessarily Southern, but you were old.
Old, yeah. So you didn't want to say soda
Can I
pop.
get me a soda pop?
Yeah.
I really want to bring that back now, just to mess with people. Can I get at a restaurant? Just be ordering normal and a soda pop, please, and just hand them the menu and continue this way and see what they do with the information you just given.
If you have an older Southern waitress, she'll say, "What flavor?" Because she'll know what you're talking about. Anybody else? Yeah, they'll look at you.
Even if she hasn't had the accent for a long time, it'll suddenly show up too. What flavor?
It's Pavlovian, yes.
Yeah, it's Pavlovian.
Yeah, your soda pop.
What are there any? I know you and I have talked before about just it here in Yakima. There's I don't know if I should bring this up. I'm gonna a lot of white people, a lot of Hispanic people, and that's about it here in Yakima.
We don't have any black people.
Yeah.
And we have very few black people, and the food scene proves it.
How so?
Well, it's all, I don't know, what y'all consider. I mean, I went to IKEA recently because I had heard about these meatballs.
Where's an IKEA near
It's
here?
in no, it's in Portland or something. I went there
Oh,
because Dr. Signer was telling me that, oh, these it's so great at IKEA, and there's one nearby, and and I'm hyped up, right?
3 hours away nearby. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, for where I'm from, that's nearby.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I go there and I get these meatballs, and I am unimpressed. I am less than impressed. They came frozen, I promise you, and that gravy came in a jar. There's just there's not a lot of cooking in Yakima. There's a lot of buying frozen foods and heating it up. But there is some cooking like Miss D's. I mean,
Miss D's?
Miss D's downtown barbecue, she cooks. Oh yeah.
I've not been, but then again, I don't eat meat. My husband
Oh
does
well,
though. So
you probably won't find much to
I'll,
choose
I'll
from.
find I'll find a side dish or something. But if they got good,
She cooks, yeah,
okay,
and that's
like
my
Southern
definition.
style
Well, barbecue.
barbecue. What's the difference? So barbecue versus like I know there's a whole thing in at least the deep south about
Mm-hmm.
the appropriate ways to barbecue, smoking food, like get in the smoker, and like
Mm-hmm.
what counts as. Do you have a dog in this fight?
I don't have I have a puppy
You have a puppy in this fight.
because
Okay.
I own a smoker. But
No.
oh yes, we make our own bacon. But no, there are people who are that's their whole personality is their smoker or their barbecue, and don't call it a grill. I do know that. So, but no, I would not mess with those people because then I might not get good barbecue, and I love good barbecue. So we had good barbecue at a house here at Dr. Baldwin's. He runs 3 or 4 smokers at a time.
Yeah, I heard about that party that
Mm-hmm.
Derek was telling me on Thursday he had to go to
Mm-hmm.
that party for work. Yeah, and Lori and I do work at the same place. Her
Mm-hmm.
husband and I happen to be in the same department, but she works in another building, so I don't get to see her very much anymore.
No, and
Lori,
they gutted your area. Have you seen it?
I heard. I
Oh,
have not walked through in some time, but I have heard, and I think I saw once when I walked through that it was quite changed up. Um, I'll have to tour at some point. I haven't gotten to see the new building they're bringing up either. There's a part of our new building that is being built, and I haven't even walked through with a little hard hat or anything. But
do we know if there are bathrooms?
there should be.
Okay, good.
I hope so. What was that a question?
No, it's just no. I'm just
Okay, good.
sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
Lori Owsley, thank you so much for joining me on Coffee Breaks with Steve. If you have additional questions for Lori or additional things you want to bond over with her regarding life in the South or move into a different part of the country, please feel free to put them in the comments. She is on Facebook, and so she might come through back and answer questions, or she may never speak to us again after the interesting things I put her through to be on today. I'm not sure. It could go either way. You should tune in to find out. Lori, thank you so much for joining us.
You're
And have a
welcome.
wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
All right. So uh I feel like we only scratched the surface of some of the interesting things. One of the things that I did want to say is that when Lori and Derek, her husband, first started working at the university where I work, they did have a day where they brought in Lori to speak hillbilly, I suppose, to the students as like a cultural exercise to help them. It was like kind of like what you do with teaching about how to work with translators, but they didn't have a translator. It was just recognizing some cultures are different than yours and making the students navigate that. And so they brought Lori up and she just went all out Southern on them until the students they could not understand what was coming at them, which I think is a fantastic exercise. I'm not sure what the point of it was if there was no translator, except to have them recognize, see, you don't know everything. Coming into medical school, you don't know everything. There are things you have to learn. I'm not sure, but I never got to see that one in person. Anyhow, so I appreciate everybody who joined us for this very interesting version of Coffee Breaks with Steve today. I assume that as soon as Dad sees this, he's going to recognize all the gaps that I had in sharing things and birthdays and anniversaries and things. I will say, if you have a birthday or anniversary or a birthiversary that you need to alert Dad of, email cbwsteve@comcast.net. That's cbwsteve@comcast.net. As he would always say, and I believe he'll be back next weekend. So I'm sure he'll have commentary on this today. But as he would always say, and I also concur, find a way to make a difference in your world this week. God bless you, and we'll see you soon.